What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I love hosting this show, The Awakening World. You know, we've been doing this for 5.5 years, almost 6, and we started at the time of the pandemic. And it's all about the rise of consciousness. We truly are experiencing an awakening world. And so tonight's theme, we're going to hear from some of the people that have a very unique perspective based on their experiences about the rising consciousness. And this is the second of a monthly event in which we are collaborating with my friend, the great Neil Gaur, the creator of Portal to Ascension, and also a great poet. I didn't ask you, but I hope you'll do a little poetry for us tonight.
I was ready to go.
Good. And he's brought some of his friends with him, including a longtime friend of mine, Joan of Angels, is with us tonight.
John.
And then a couple.
I'm happy to see you all. Good to see you, Scott.
Good to see you too. And a couple of new friends that are making their debut in the Awakening World, Lily Nova and King Cash. So welcome, Lily, and welcome, King Cash.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you both have to share. We will have prayer time with Desiree and Tiara. That's something that we do on every show now. And as always, we love to kick off our show with music. And we are blessed to have our house musical artist wearing a very, very Hawaiian shirt. Very blue.
This is not Hawaiian at all. This is from Rapa Nui. How about that?
From Rapa Nui. Well, I love the background. I love the shirt, and I love you.
Yes, right back at us. I'm just going to do a quick mute of everybody just because everyone's muted. Hang on a minute. There we go. All righty then. Welcome everybody who's watching on Facebook and YouTube and our streaming broadcast partners. So grateful to be here with us, and Happy New Now, of course. And just as a hint, I'm going to sing a song, and this is a hint right here. So without further ado, press a few cave-like buttons, and we shall be moved. We've been hypnotized, the spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself is now realized. Love is reaching through the hearts of me and you. Our world is waking up to our different points of view, 'cause now we recognize we've been hypnotized, the spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself is now realized. Ba-da-da-da. So shake yourself free of the past. No longer do we walk in the dark. Let's show each other what we can do, and let our light shine right on through, and let the good of humanity stay, and let the dross simply fade away, and let the mother return to us all, so that love can have her way. 'Cause now we recognize we've been hypnotized, the spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself is now realized. Ba-da-da-da. So shake yourself free of the past. No longer do we walk in the dark.
All right. Let's all send lots of love and twinkles and appreciation to our beloved Omashar. And thank you to the Global Peace Tribe dance team.
I know that was a pretty rocking one. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Love you all.
And Omashar will be back. But Omashar, before you go,
yes, my friend.
The question of the night: how do you see consciousness rising on our planet?
Well, I'm just trying to find a non-swirly background so I don't spin out here. I've lost it. Where's it gone? Oh, this will do. So anyway, it's an inside job, Scott. Everything arises from within, and the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, the last 20 years actually, the last 4 or 5 years, I've been really doing everything to source myself from within and then let that voice speak out through me. And it's a practice. It's pretty much 24/7, 365 days of the year practice. And it can get pretty work-like sometimes, but my personal wish, my personal knowing for myself is to turn in and turn in and turn in and not actually make a move or speak even or go off on a trip or anything without actually hearing from inside that this is what my path is, because I've let my mind run the show for way too long and it's got me into so much trouble that I'm over myself. And so now it is a matter of just fessing up and saying, give me 10 minutes and I shall go inside. I shall consult my inner guidance, my I am presence, the highest self, however you want to coin that. And it's a practice, and I recommend it to everybody. Because our outer senses just pull us out all the time, and it has so much momentum that we've forgotten that there is an inner place which is way, way, way vaster than outside. So there we are.
Beautifully stated, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Well, one of the great things about the Awakening World is we are now collaborating once a month with Portal to Ascension. I was just on the website there for a moment. And the Portal to Ascension is, I've been appreciating what Neil and his team have been doing for years. They started around the same time we did. And here's the website, portaltoascension.org. It's a really cool opening. And there's so many wonderful events that they do. And we're going to be learning all about their upcoming events because the man who created Portal to Ascension is my co-host tonight. So welcome back to the Awakening World, Neil.
Thank you for having me back, Scott. Honestly, last time was so incredible. I was reeling off the energy for days, and I was just had so much gratitude for you and for just like having me be a part of this. So I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Well, absolutely. And I know it's been a long day for you because you had a very long event that you did. Tell us a little bit about your event that just happened.
Sure, we were streaming for 8 hours straight today. I finished the event about 40 minutes ago, and it was the Real Disclosure event. And every year at the beginning of the year, I like to do a bunch of free events where we just have a few thousand people tuning in. And because I feel the energy is high, it's the reset of the year. Some people still have time off. They're looking for what's going to be happening next this year, right? So depending on what the energy is and what is happening in the world and what I'm sensing through the events I'm creating, I create events on those topics. And I'm really feeling the galactic connection, the disclosure information is just ramping up for this year and for the next year. So I started the year out with a 2-day conference. We've done an event on the 1st of January, on the 2nd of January, and then today and tomorrow is the Real Disclosure Conference. And I call it the Real Disclosure because what it's doing is teeter-tottering in two worlds. Whereas you have the deep esoterics, like next week we have the Palladians and the Arcturians conference. We have the week after that we have the Dragons conference. That's like next level. And then you have like the nuts and bolts UFOs. So I wanted to create an event. This is the second annual that was existing in both worlds, where not only people that are like in this community are like, whoa, this is so incredible, such great information for me to incorporate and integrate, but also it's palatable. So if somebody who didn't know anything about UFOs and ETs found out about it last week, came to our event, they won't throw the baby out with the bathwater and they would be like, wait a second, oh, these guys are talking about quantum physics and the nature of consciousness, you know? So that's what we've been doing. And today was a very long day. By the end of today, I would have been streaming for almost 11 hours straight. So, but
Wow.
it's worth it.
Well, and what a great group of people you've got there. I mean, these are really some of the best presenters on what's really going on with disclosure, UFOs, UAPs, and we're going to hear from Alan Steinfeld a little bit later in tonight's show. So people can still register for free, and when they register, they will get a copy of the recording of today's program, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So for all events on our website, you get unlimited replay access. And this one, we just so happen to be, since it's free, we're streaming it on YouTube. So it'll be on YouTube forever as well. So you can always check back there.
Fabulous. Well, let's get to your first guest. And it's a longtime friend of mine, but I'm going to let you introduce her. And that's, of course, Joan of Angels.
So I have to give like the whole story, really. I think this is the perfect time. Joan of Angels, I met in around November of 2011. This is when Portal to Ascension was an experimental experiment phase, and I decided let's do an event for December 21st, 2012. So I did around November of 2012. I did the Cosmic Reunion because I thought we're all going to ascend on December 21st, and there will be no more events ever. So I created this event, and but I met Joan in Conscious Life Expo a few months earlier. she came to our event. She had a booth there. She also went and spoke for a few minutes as well. And that in that moment, our friendship started. And I was married back then. And then Joan became the best friend to my ex-wife and myself. Her home was like a home away from home, a sanctuary where we would go to. And she would, she's a spiritual coach, an advisor, a consultant. And I got to experience and receive that as a friend from her, where I remember times we would have vision boards mapped out on the ground, and we would be figuring out and connecting dots on how Portal to Ascension can move into the next level. So she was there really much in the beginning phases of everything I was creating. And then our friendship continued to grow to the point where Joan has also assisted me in producing the Glastonbury conference we've done, two tours with 100 people each to Egypt. And now, after a little bit of hiatus, her doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing, we've come together on the biggest level ever before and are co-producing the New Living Expo. So I'm really grateful because Joan is my best friend. She's one of the most capable people when it comes to not only delivering consciousness and really explaining it and helping people from the heart, but also doing the work that it needs to make things happen, actionable. So I'm excited for her to be here and for all of you who haven't experienced her before to get an opportunity to meet my really good friend, Joan. Love you, Joan.
Neil, that's just such a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. And it's an honor to work with Portal to Ascension. Guys, we talk about consciousness. What is a portal to ascension? It's a portal to your conscious awakening of who you are.
Yeah.
And so I love and admire you, Neil, the work we do. And I want to tell everyone that the New Living Expo, which Neil will be talking about, our new project, is the most exciting thing I can think about.
Yeah.
It's going to bring together all these people.
It's so fun to be working with you and to be creating this, and but today I want you to get into your work and what your passions are. And since the theme is the evolution of consciousness, you've had your finger on the pulse for a while. I think you were in the Bay Area back in like 60s or 70s creating jewelry with
Oh my
crystal,
God, you even remembered that.
So, okay, actually, I think this would be a great. You've been in this world for so long. How have you perceived this shift over these years?
Well, that's so interesting. My generation, we thought we were the bomb. We were going to stop war, make love, not war,
Mhm.
peace now. And we were the greatest generation ever. We were also the hippie movement that, went overindulged, I guess, in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So consciousness started in the 70s through LSD and through sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's all I can tell you. That was the portal to awakening. And me, I took it very seriously. I worked in a hash pipe factory in San Francisco and making hash pipes and roach clips that we sent around the world. And it was pretty exciting to do that. But I also, at the same time, sold jewelry on the wharf. And I also began this exploration into who am I? And I'm a Pisces. I have the right side, the left side, and I'm always going up and downstream. But the evolution of consciousness has been really interesting because for me, I found myself joining an ashram. I was a nice Jewish girl from New York. Nice Jewish girls do not go move to California to move into an ashram. And that's the first thing I did because I knew in my heart there was something more. I didn't know what it was. I didn't study religion or philosophy. When I was 10, I spent quite a long time trying to have a past life encounter with myself. I would sit there on my bed before I'd go to bed at night and I'd go, I know I was here before. And I would start to take myself back to that moment when I woke up as a baby, but then I'd go in that cocoon and try to actually remember. So I had an awareness that there was something more than was here on the planet. But I do want to say something that really happened with you, Neil, very early on in my awakening. And my awakening has not been just one awakening that there it was and I grew from it. My awakening has been a series of knocks on the head, usually comes with a knock on the head, and tremendous growth, almost disguised as despair until I get the big picture. And I'm sure some of you know what that means. Growth doesn't always come just because you're choosing happiness. it's coming because you're also growing from pain that has sort of, I think, come your way to just really make sure you wake up. So remember, we come to a planet where no matter how advanced a soul you are, your memory is wiped out from day one. There's a plan here for you to forget. So I want to go back to when I met Neil, because I met Neil at Conscious Life Expo. I had a booth, and I was doing readings for the first time in public, and Neil and his wife Sol sat down, and we had a very lovely connection. And a few weeks later, I found myself invited to go to his very first. And that's why I think the universe also, consciousness also knows how to connect you to people and keep bringing you back around them. Consciousness has a plan. We're part of that plan. It's like a
Yeah.
roller coaster, and with twists and turns that are already laid out for us in certain ways. So the night before Neil's first live event, I'm getting very passionately into UFOs by then and ETs. And I go to bed and I have this dream every day. And it wasn't a dream. It was one of those experiences where I was awake and asleep at the same time. And there were about 4 or 5 beings in gray cloaks that were going round and round my bed. I'd open up my eyes. There were, of course, no walls or a ceiling. And these beings are circling me. And then I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up and they'd still be circling. And then I got up and I walked outside to the deck and there was a ship up there. And then I went back to bed. And this is the experience I had. So the next day I walk into Neil's event. And the minute I walk in, there's a table there and there's all these extraterrestrial sculptures on that table. I forget her name. She's
Cynthia
died since
Crawford.
then. She was the ET What was her name?
Cynthia Crawford. She was a
Yeah,
pioneer.
Cynthia Crawford, the ET sculpture. And I go running over to her and I tell her about this being and I describe it. And this being is on the table. And she says to me, Joan, the reason these beings are coming around you is that they're teachers and that they're downloading information for you that you will one day be teaching.
Mhm.
And by the end of that day, I took home the sculpture. And I found that the moment I got the sculpture home, the sculpture started talking to me. It started describing the command station and how I was to set it up. And it started telling me where to take it, where to go, who, and what house to take it with me to. And so for about 6 years, I would travel with my tall white
Yeah.
statue wherever I went. And it was pretty crazy. Neil would say, they'd come. I would take it with me to dinner if it told
Yeah.
me that it wanted to go to dinner, or I would take it to parties. And people didn't, that probably thought I was crazy. I did take it to a plant medicine journey, my very first plant medicine journey. And I will tell you that I was told to take it out and put it in the car because some people were afraid of the ETs. And about a half an hour later, some woman walks in. She says, I see big eyes. Does anyone know what these big black eyes are? And it turned out that my extraterrestrial could be seen even though it was in the car. People in that room could see it. So we talk about consciousness, and consciousness is an awareness of what? Of our thoughts, of our energy, of what's around us. So it's not all in our head either. I used to think consciousness was all in our head, that it goes on all in our head. But actually, that's not true. We recognize it in our head. So anyway, that ET Neil has actually been very much a part of my life, and that's what you brought to me.
Yeah, yeah, I
And so
remember that.
I've
I
seen
got I got one
consciousness
too from her.
evolve.
I said I got the Arcturian from Cynthia Crawford, and she would actually see the beings. They would come and stand next to her in Arizona. She had the place there, and they would be there, and just like a live person that you sculpt, she would look at the beings and then sculpt them into these sculptures, and then the frequency of that being would then be embedded into it, and then she would give it out to people, and
Right.
so it was really powerful.
Right. So in fast forwarding, I think that in 2013, after I started understanding it and working with plant medicine to understand that there was a greater consciousness for me. So I think plant medicine, beginning with LSD, has been a great awakening of consciousness here on the planet.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are actually awakening to the fact that we are more than just our body, our thoughts, and our beingness. And that's the exciting part. I'd say definitely consciousness is awakening. People are awakening to who they really are
Do you
more
feel
and
that
more.
we're getting to a critical mass, that things are speeding up, and that it's, I know you already feel this, but maybe you can just elaborate on it more, that it's kind of an inevitable. This awakening is inevitable.
It is inevitable. It's been foretold that, well, we're in an era where there's actually two choices. You can say right, left, you could say dark, light, you could say the control and the freedom. So we're in a place where there has been a point where humanity could go this way or this way, and there's been a fork. And now more and more people are on this ascension path because more and more people are waking up. But they're waking up to the awareness first. You have to look around and go, well, how do I feel about what's going on? Who am I within all of this chaos that's going on in the planet? Where do I want to be and who do I want to be is really important.
Well, what can we do for ourselves in order to get to that level of consciousness where we're not so focused on the external world that is distracting us all the time and creating division, right? Even myself, even people in this world, even people tuning in, that even though we know about this, a lot of times we get caught up into that external reality that takes us away from realizing ourselves and seeing ourselves in the other, right? So how do we take that energy back in order to really implement that into actuality, into reality?
Well, that's a great question, Neil. I like to use the word discernment a lot, discernment of really what's going on. And everything in the outside world is meant to distract us from who we are, even if it's a positive event. As I started to say, we're all born, we come in with a tremendous amount of memory, but at the same time, our memories get wiped out from birth. And we're also attacked by darker energies, most of us, especially the lighter and more powerful your mission is, the more you might be attacked in your earlier years by family, friends. It's not necessarily deliberate, but does serve to push you off the path. And so as we grow up in life, everything is designed to get you off your path in a sense. And it's not until you make a conscious choice to do things differently than mainstream is doing it. And so every choice into consciousness takes you away from what everyone else is doing and quote normal people. And it's a choice to start stepping into your own thoughts because then you become more alone. You become more aware that you're different from the mainstream people. And that then comes the opportunity to start to really learn who you are. And that's the process of awakening, is to start to understand what your values are, what's right for you. And how do you learn that? You usually learn it by making wrong choices that take you off the path. Okay, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, takes you off that path until you get inside and you understand there's more to it. And I'm still awakening. I am still awakening. And in 2013, when the angels came to me and said, paint 33 angels in 30 days, and I said yes to that call, and a book falls off the bookshelf, says, your call for angelic assistance has been heard, and I had confirmation, I started another path. And that other path that led me even closer to the angelic realms, where I began to understand that not only are we not alone, but that we really are guided and that we are protected and that we ourselves are the angelic ones and we ourselves are the extraterrestrial ones and we ourselves, if I was to talk to every single one of you listening here on the show or out there, each one of you is so unique and so multi-talented that we are such a great collective. And our consciousness rises when we're together. Now, I learned something interesting about consciousness today on Twitter. So I will share it because I get lots of wisdom from Twitter. But it was about DMT. And the guy was commenting about a very famous researcher on DMT. His name was Richard Richard something, and he actually investigated and researched about 350 people who had DMT trips, and he interviewed all of them. And one guy, and the consensus on DMT was that you weren't having out of body experiences. Beings were coming to you, they were entering your field. And it was not like having an out of body experience at all. It was really like you were in your body and they were right there connecting with you. And one guy said to the extraterrestrial, "Well, isn't this all in my head? You know, I know that if I open my eyes, you'll all be gone. It's all in my head." And this ET being said to him, "Ha, you think we exist in your head? You're crazy." And he disappeared. And I pondered about that as I was thinking about what to say tonight, because I think that's pretty interesting. It's not in our head. Consciousness is actually outside of us. It's in the ether, AETHER. That ether holds our thoughts, it holds our feelings, it holds our emotions. It also holds your thought, everyone else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And they've proven that we can not only have our own ET out of body or near death experience, but our family can join us. So we can have group out of body experiences together, which even more reinforces the fact that consciousness is not all in your head. You're not imagining it, even though the world exists inside your head, which I think is kind of a crazy thing. It exists inside of our head, but it's really not all happening in here because we're picking up thoughts, feelings, energies from everyone else. Like Neil and I used to drive around a lot, and he'd start one sentence, and halfway through, I finished it for him because I knew exactly what he's going to say. And it's a synchronicity, a resonance. So consciousness expands when you have resonance. When you have resonance with people, places, and things. When you walk in a field like Scott, this is an amazing show. The amount of consciousness here and the people you bring in every week, every month, it gets better and better and higher because you've already raised that vibrational frequency. So the angels explained to me when they first started working through me that yes, they could come down and be among humans, but it was far better if we could raise our vibrational frequency to be at their level. And so I began working at that time, sending roots down to the earth and working with our antennas going all the way up to the angelic realms. And I am a bridge between heaven and earth because you can be too, by the way. Send your roots to the center of the earth, send your antenna up to the heaven, and you are walking connected. But as we tune that antenna up and send it up to the ethereal realms, we are also expanding our consciousness, our vibrational frequency, our ability to see. Now, consciousness expanding also for me requires discernment. And I also began using that word when Neil and I traveled to kind of think a lot about that. When we had one person I had to tell couldn't come on one of our trips. And I had to actually feel into what the future could predict. So discernment is a way of looking at yourself, looking at consciousness in an energetic of what will this feel like in 24 hours, in 6 months, in a year. So we can, because we're responsible for what we do, where we go, and who we do it with, then we owe it to ourselves to understand the vibrational resonance and frequency of the people we're doing it with. So when I tune into Scott and Neil and King Cash and Lily and all of you guys, I can feel this energy of love. And so it inspires me to be more of the energy of love. And here's one of my favorite people who just hopped in, Alan. So I work with frequencies in those ways of really how to determine our resonance, how to determine if these people are right for you, if the situation is where you're supposed to go, the job, the purpose, the mission. And that's also very important in the expansion of your consciousness, because the planet is kind of a trickster.
Huh.
If you go back into your sex, drugs, and rock and roll energy, it's going to give you more of that. But if you start to use your discernment wisely, then it's going to give you more love, higher
Right.
frequencies, more resonance, more abundance, more of what you're seeking for. So ask yourself, what am I seeking? What is it I'm here to do? What is it that I want from this experience or from this person or from this house? Like I know you're moving back to Tiburon. What's looking at the frequencies of where you're going? Very important, more important than ever, because the veil is thinning and karmic, I don't know, the word that comes to my head right now is karmic rebound is faster. So whatever you're thinking can manifest just like that in a flash. A few weeks ago, I was thinking about cinnamon and cloves. I had read about it. I'd seen a video about this recipe, cloves and cinnamon, and if you drink it before night, it puts you to sleep and it gets rid of your parasites. I thought 2 for 1, that's great. So I go to bed and I'm thinking I'm going to have to buy cinnamon and cloves. And my roommate comes in the next night and I don't say a word. I don't go online looking about it, nothing. I'm just thinking cinnamon and cloves, I got to have it. 6 o'clock, she walks in the door. She has cinnamon and cloves. I said,
Mm.
"What made you buy cinnamon and cloves?" She said, "I don't know. I just got this sudden feeling I needed to stop at the Mexican market and pick it up." But that's what I'm talking about. People pick up your thoughts and your vibration and they give it back to you.
Beautiful.
So,
And I want to come in for a moment because we're it's time to bring Alan in. But I want to acknowledge the wisdom that you're sharing and riff on two things, Joan, and then ask people or ask you how people can get more of you. Because it's just a little homeopathic dose of Neil's amazing people that he's bringing in tonight. But Paramahansa Yogananda, who's my favorite master teacher, said that discernment is the last lesson of master souls. When somebody asked him what he was here to learn, what his karma was, he said discernment. And so I really want to acknowledge that combining two things that you said, the importance of discernment and how quickly things are happening now. Everything's happening very fast. So we do need to be very, very discerning about who we spend time with, what we put into our body, what we watch, what media we take in. It is really a time of great discernment. And I love that you shined your light of wisdom onto that. Thank you.
thank you, Scott. And I teach that now.
So how do
So,
people get hold of you? I know your website's down. Do you want to put into the chat box your email address for our Zoom roomers and tell people briefly what kind of work you teach? What are your offerings that people might want to get from you?
I love that question, Scott. So my work is really, I work a lot with women who are spiritual and awake, but really want more clarity about where they're going, how to get there. They're not exactly sure what's happening. They may be in transition, going from corporate to spirituality, going from one life to another, leaving a relationship. So I work with people who are in transition who really want to know and clarify more about their next steps and their outcomes. And I do it through coaching, and I also do it as an advisor. I actually really can help people who are in the middle of having to make decisions, clarify and use discernment, because I teach you how to do that, how you can see your future and actually align your values and your goals to where you're going.
Fabulous. Well,
So,
as you'll notice that the vast majority of our audience are women. I mean, I do appreciate Reverend Jeffrey and George and Omashar and the Wild Monk, Sherry Anderson, Vineet Allen. So we've got some cool guys with us, but it's mostly women. So, ladies, as you can see, Joan of Angels is a truly inspired woman and a lot of wisdom. And you can reach her at the email address that I assume you're going to put into the chat box for us.
yes. And I'm also going to put my Instagram account, Joan of Angels. You cannot forget that. Just
Easy.
go for Joan of Angels on Instagram, you'll get me, or you can send me an email. And yes, I'd love to talk to you. Love to see what we can do.
Joan, thank you so much for being with us. And for those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can email her at Joan of Angels. That's easy. Joan at Joan of Angels. And Joan, we're eager to hear from Alan, who just co-facilitated 8 hours. He is the man who knows what's going on with disclosure. We did a great show together a couple of weeks ago. Things are changing so fast, and you're so in tune with the different people. What's the latest, Alan? What can you share with our audience?
Well, the latest of what I've been studying is related to what Joan was talking about. And Joan, thank you for asking that person to leave our trip. But what Joan was saying is like we think these things are outside of us or they're inside of us, but this whole idea of subjectivity and objectivity is a kind of old paradigm way of thinking about reality. Like, I'm seeing you, you are in my head, you're also out there. So there's no duality as we move into this next level of consciousness. Duality is one of Neil's favorite word, a paradox. How can we be a subject and an object? How can you be out there in here at the same time? Well, you can be. The world is out there and it is in here because we think that's impossible or logical because we've been brainwashed into a dualistic thinking. It's either or, it's this or that, it's yes or no. And ETs, from what my studies and intuition, don't function like that. It's not a dualistic reality. It's all one. I am there, you are there, it is in here. And the logic we've been programmed to think culturally cannot accept that paradox of reality, but it is true. There's no subject, there's no object. It is all one and the same. Consciousness is reality and reality is consciousness. It's another way of thinking. It's what John Max said. In order to understand the phenomena, we need other ways of knowing. And these other ways of knowing transcend this old way of thinking. It's the evolution of what making contact is. Who are we making contact with? We're making contact with ourselves, but what's out there, what we don't know, each other, the earth. It's what I just one more thing. When I interviewed one of these autistic kids that were a part of the telepathy tape, there I started to understand their way of thinking, which is so vast and immense. And we should have this guy in the show, Scott, because he's incredible.
I would love that.
Alex Erasmus. So when he thinks of something like Christmas, he's not thinking of the presents or Santa Claus or it's all one. That concept includes everything. When he thinks of that, he's thinking of all that surrounds it. It's not divided into pieces. It's abstract thought. It's apprehension versus comprehension, which is a kind of thesis I've been developing. So when you comprehend something, you say, this is it. That's a tree. That's a window. And you know what? You collapse the wave function, and that's all that can be. The possibilities are limited then. But if you apprehend something, if you say, well, maybe that's a tree, maybe that's a window, maybe it's more, you keep the wave function alive, and that's how you create magic. When you concretize something, you dissolve, you become left brain, and the magic of the infinite self dissolves. So that's something I've been working on and talking about in terms of the ET consciousness. So let's keep the duality not alive, but transformed. It is only what it is. And my friend King Cash is very much aligned with that. He's brilliant. I can't wait to hear what he has to say because he is like bringing in the cosmos. I don't know Lily, but I'm happy you're coming to the expo, Lily, and I'll see you at Conscious Life. But I do know King Cash, and Lily, great to meet you. But we've hung out on the mountainside in Sedona together. We've been on cruises around the world, and he has a lot. He's like the next generation. He knows what I'm talking about, right? As far as this end of duality, because he lives in that whole other space of being. So that's just a little bit what I've been thinking about.
Beautiful. Um,
Just came to me.
since you kind of, I mean, we're gonna, we have a whole moment for King and moment for Lily, but King, do you want to riff on what Alan's been talking about?
Yeah, I can't wait for people to know about all these beings, and I can't wait to expand on that a little more later. But I'm very happy to talk about these things and to see everyone around the world expand in that awareness is awesome. Just to see even people questioning is awesome. And to go on the cruise and go around the world with Alan was awesome. And to get to meet these others who are also in alignment with that mission mentality and that awareness is awesome. I'm just very glad to be alive at this time.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to read a few of the comments from our audience because we always like to include our Zoom roomers, and there's a wide variety of comments that have come in. By the way, Randy Miller says that King Cash is a cat person. We'll have to learn what that means. Um, uh, Carol Craig reminds us that grounding is important to get rid of our rubber-soled shoes and buy leather soles because they allow us to connect with the Earth's magnetic field. So that's interesting. And Eleanor Joy, inspired by Omashar's song, talking about taking a deep breath and a pause. And as a relationship coach, that's so important. The most important thing for people in relationship is to learn to slow down. We can so quickly escalate into being triggered. So slowing down, breathing, very important. And I appreciate Eleanor Joy pointing that out in the chat box. Since it came up, I will let people know. Unfortunately, Cornflower, who is going to play on music tonight and be part of our Magic and Miracles show tomorrow, has gotten sick. And so he's not going to be with us tonight, and he's not going to be with us tomorrow. So we're going to need to postpone the Magic and Miracles event. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during Global Peace Tribe announcements. But since that's in the chat box, I thought I'd share it right now.
Scott,
Yes, Alan.
I just wondered what Lily had to say about this merging of duality, because I've been researching her and she's a channel. I'm just curious if she had a response to. Hi, Lily. Welcome. And Lily, of course, is part of the New Living Expo coming up. I think you should be at the Conscious Life. So you work in that realm because you're a channel of bridging the duality. What's your approach? How do you come to terms with that?
That is a great question. And I feel like there's kind of different stages and a lot of different things happening all simultaneously, all at once. We have a lot of shadow work that is being pushed out to the surface right now. So some of the messages that I've been receiving lately is, at least on the global scale, we may be seeing, and we have been seeing in some instances, a kind of an amplification of polarity as kind of separating the wheat from the chaff almost. And I think but all in all, it's for the greater purpose of the Great Awakening, because it's bringing these things out to the surface for everybody to look at. The intense energies, the increase in solar flares and solar energies, and the increase in frequency is pushing up all of our baggage individually as well as collectively. So then everybody has to look at that. We have to process it. We have to heal it. We have to shift our perception on it. Yeah, but there's a lot of just deeply ingrained wounds and programs that are being looked at right now. So I think kind of
I know you have a lot to say later, but no, I just wanted to get your feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And see you. So Scott, where are we going from here?
All right. Well,
Scott share some stuff too, based on what Alan has just shared. Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, can you guys hear me okay?
Now we can. It took a moment.
Right. So, yeah, I just wanted to share some more insight from the event today, and something that was coming up was when my presentation, it was really deep into the quantum physics of, what is really going on and what Alan was alluding to in regards to subjective and objective and duality existing, but also oneness existing. And I love what Alan was saying because he was saying that it's not this or that, it's both things. But then our minds find it difficult to reconcile two things that are supposedly independent and opposite of each other, the paradox. As a quote that I love, which probably isn't the real quote, but summarizing it is magic is just science that hasn't been discovered yet. Right. And if you look at these movies with magic and different things that are happening, what is happening when a witch in a movie all of a sudden is making somebody collapse on the floor or a portal open? Is they're in essence tapping into the subatomic realm and able to manipulate the frequencies and the code of that reality. Imagine if you created a video game and you coded a person in that video game with the ability to utilize their mind in order for them to make different things shift and change, right? It's kind of what this world is, but we've lived in such an unconscious way that we weren't aware of these innate abilities and gifts. And so as Alan was talking, I started writing down some of these paradoxes. So I want to share these, and so let's do this. So one is we are real and we're not real at the same time, right? That you've probably heard a lot of different ancient like guru information people out of India talking about the non-reality of this realm, how illusionary it is. But it's quite real, right? Like I'm interacting with you right now. This feels real to me, but at the same time, it's not real. So I've seen it in a lot of ancient cultures, you go one way or you go the other, right? It's all an illusion, or it's not an illusion, it's just physical. But that's what duality is. It's extremism, in my opinion. Duality is you're all the way on one side or all the way on the other side. And then you go so far into one side, you neglect to see the commonality with the other side. Right. So that's why it goes in everywhere. It goes in the political realm all over the place. The truth is always somewhere in between. And then another paradox would be the only way to have contact externally with ETs is to have contact with ourselves. The only way to go within, the only way to go without, fly into space, is by going within. And one that I really love that's kind of like guts into the science here is the singularity, right? The singularity is what? What is a singularity? It's the black hole, the void, the 0 point. The center of our galaxy is a supermassive black hole. There's a singularity inside of that. But it's also the subatomic particles. Every subatomic particle has a singularity because it's in essence literally beyond and lower and smaller than an atom. The singularity actually vibrates in and out of reality. Subatomic particles, which we're all made out of, vibrate in and out of reality. So since you're made out of subatomic particles, that means every single part of you, every millisecond, is vibrating in and out of reality. What else on Earth does the same thing? A hologram. It's literally, what is a hologram? It's light fractalizing at such a rapid speed that it looks like it's physical, even though it's pure light. And it's funny how we've created technology that depicts what is quite literally happening to us. And so when you look for contact with the external world, or you want to make contact with ETs, right? King Cash is communicating and astral traveling with all types of beings. Lily is doing the same thing. And what they're not going out into space, even though through astral traveling, he might actually depict himself in space somewhere on a planet. But how are they getting there? Going through the singularity, the wormhole. But where is the singularity? It's not an external wormhole, it's inside our bodies. So even contact happens by going within ourselves. It's another paradox. And so what's happening now is we're in the in-between phase of a whole new world of science. But the world that we know still relies on the old paradigm of science for the most part. But we've been able to experiment. We've been able to realize, oh my God, on the subatomic world realm, look at how everything is working. It's so weird. It doesn't make sense. How can the subatomic world be the building blocks for the atomic world when the physics of the subatomic world are paradoxical to the physics of the Newtonian world? It doesn't make sense, right? but we observe it. We observe it. And now what we're seeing through UFOs, ETs, contact is we're seeing craft doing what we can see on the subatomic realm right in front of our faces in space, right? And we thought that we were thousands of years away from being able to do that. But obviously, we're seeing that there are beings and crafts that have done it as well. And so that was what was a huge component of what we shared today and what we do at Portal to Ascension is really getting people ready for this new science. And this new science is not only going to help us go and travel space and interact with ETs, but it's also going to help us start connecting to our inner singularity so that we can have true contact.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That is really, really important for people to understand. And we're going to take a music break in a moment. But if Lily or King Cash or Joan, any of you want to add anything to this particular part of the conversation?
I would like to add something real quick, just that I thought was interesting from my own contact experiences. Whenever I was training to kind of have these spiritual and quantum experiences, I used to, and I started activating psychic abilities. I would see myself traveling through a wormhole. So whenever Neil said that you're like going through the wormhole, but it's within you, that just reminded me of that, and I just thought that was so fascinating.
Tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, since you're on it, so what's your process? Like, how do you start that process, and take us on your journey for a moment?
So I was not an avid meditator before, but once I started having contact, first with UFOs, I would see their ships, and then telepathy ensued and began activating. And then I was guided to begin meditation. So I would start off with about 10 minutes per day. And then I started, after about a week of practicing that, I started receiving visions. And so I just practiced with that more. And what I would do is get into a relaxed state, of course, and then I would listen to frequency music. At the time, I was listening to a lot of 963 hertz, which stimulates the crown chakra, which can help connect you to the higher realms. You can also listen to things like binaural beats, just to help you get into a deeper meditative state. And so I would get myself into a relaxed state. I like to set sacred space, and then whatever my intention is for the meditation, it could be to just focus on doing some energy work on myself, or some healing, or manifestation, or to receive messages. I'll just set that intention and just practice with it. So it's taken some practice, but if you're consistent with it, you can start having some very profound experiences.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And of course, we're going to have a whole series of, we're going to have a good 20-minute chunk with Lily and a 20 minutes with King Cash, and a whole lot more coming up on the show. But for right now, it's time to go to Omashar for our mid-show song. And where is that? Where is that masked man? There he is.
Well, Lily, that was the perfect segue into this song, which is called In the Stillness. So let's just take a couple of deep breaths together and forget about the next moment. Let's just stay present now, feet on the ground, grounded, and let's pull in some yummy frequencies for the next little bit. And so, as I said, this song is called In the Stillness. Quieter you become, the more you can hear. In the silence, in the stillness, I am here. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears. heart and mind is clear. And you know that love is with you, love supports you, love is here. And you feel that you belong, and you're walking with purpose. You can hear your life's new song. To know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Ba 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 dum 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 ba. Da da dum dum. Da da dum dum. Da da dum 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 dum. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears. To know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. I love you. I
Gallery review, everybody. Lots and lots of love and appreciation. And
Love
he
you.
loves us, and we love you.
Thank you. It's I and me, the loves of the I and you. It's the Namaste song.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be back at the towards the end of the show. Now, Neil Gaur is not only a great producer and the creator of Portal to Ascension, but he's actually our favorite spoken word artist. He way back in the day, I first met him as a spoken word artist and then discovered that he was doing PTA. So we are blessed that Neil's going to bless us with a couple of poems tonight, including one right now.
Sure. So the last time I was on, which was a month ago from today, around about, I did Heaven's Calls, which was a poem that is on my 10-track album that I just created with my friend Chris Noble here in Colombia. And so I'm going to do two poems today, one now, one later. And these are all rap songs that are on the album, but this is just acoustic. Okay. So the first one we're gonna do Butterfly. The butterfly will sting. And this one, just to give you some context, it's it's about I think I did. Was I do Heaven Calls last time? I think I did, yeah. So this one's about a near-death experience. So if you follow the energy of what I'm saying in the words, the first paragraph is me slowly dying and what I start seeing as I'm fading away. And then the second verse gets into like the etheric realm and what I experience in this world of duality and the reincarnation process. So it's called The Butterfly Will Sting. And it's so cool because we did this with a full orchestra. I had a full orchestra play behind me in the studio here in Colombia. And we had piano, we had violin, we had the cello. So when the album comes out in February, it's going to be really epic. And I'll share it with you guys in next year month when I'll come back next month. So here we go. Butterfly Will Sting. I can feel the creeping poison. The butterfly will sting. I hear the noise fading. from this world that I'm in. If I open my eyes widely, I can see the creature's wings. I'll feel the earth maneuvering under the sun. The new age has begun. My destiny chose me wisely. No bruises, no cuts, no anything. I meditate and I meet with true friends. I see clouds around the sun, like galactic arms embracing the one. The black hole would destroy the earth again. Recycle my soul, my physical manifestation. The planet is moving, waiting to be pulled into the next dimension. No pity for this world of men at insurrection's end, knowing that this chapter is over. It's time for the resurrection. Once again. A stone throws away, contaminate, vain way to exercise brain, different time, same day. Fade away, fame will play a modest role. Stumble and fold, the scriptures told, masses and societal organization, embrace the revolutionized desolation, anarchy from control. Peace from communal ambition, perishing souls, stay or go, teacher be told, hater let go, amateur or pro, friend and foe. Duality of the physical world, materialism of gold, money, diamonds, and pearls, hurl the stone back into place, blood and bones of the human race, the spirit of the bitterless laced, tests. Where psychedelic colors fascinate me, where psychedelic colors fascinate, and heavenly awake me, and ultimately face me as I morph the face of our humanity. The butterfly will sting. The butterfly will sting. The butterfly will sting. But it's just a temporary thing. There we go. And that's basically, it's the near-death experience in the beginning, the first paragraph. The second one is just my experience of all my incarnations. And then the butterfly will sting is the incarnation, how many times it stung. The butterfly will sting. And then just a reminder of impermanence. It's just a temporary thing. So thank you for letting me share.
Oh, absolutely. I love it's always good to just take a moment to breathe in because your poems have such a sting to them, one could say.
Mhm.
And they sting me in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
brother.
I'm going to keep you on camera for a moment because it's time for you, although we've got a microdose of her already, but
Yeah.
the official introduction of Lily Nova.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to bring on Lily. And Lily, I just found Lily's work not even a few months ago. And since then, we've started doing quite a lot together just in a little bit of time. We had the most epic interview that was just so incredibly fun. And all the questions I ever wanted to ask anybody, I just threw at Lily. And we went really deep. And she has just become an amazing, she has been doing this work since COVID when she was actually having ET contact and was a UFO and space photographer and CE5 practitioner back then and a psychic intuitive. And Lily was, Lily was documenting the close encounters with her camera as a space photographer, and she was determined to capture evidence of who these visitors were for her. And since then, she's now an ET contactee, a UFO and space photographer, psychic intuitive, author, and her story and UFO footage has actually been featured on Ancient Aliens and the Travel Channel. She really did a lot of amazing work when it comes to Three Eye Atlas, and she is, I would say, an emissary of definitely probably multiple ET races, but there's like this huge Lyran frequency that's coming from her as well. And she has not only been interviewed on Portal to Ascension, she'll be at the New Living Expo, and hopefully we can do some maybe a monthly or bi-monthly series where we're going to keep doing interviews and updates on Portal to Ascension. So Lily, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you and the way you deliver your message and awareness. It's just so amazing. So I appreciate you for being here and for also joining us for the expo.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. And it has been so much fun collaborating with you and getting to meet new people and also like-minded people who like to focus on the deeper questions
Mhm.
and as well as the positive. So that's been fantastic. So thanks so much for having me.
Definitely. So let's start with the theme for today, right? So I'll just let you run with it. And maybe you can tie it in, not only the evolution of consciousness, but kind of what messages you're receiving in regards to that and what cosmic signals that we're receiving through the space. I know 3i Atlas was a part of it that's helping assist us in up-leveling our consciousness.
hmm Yeah, so like you mentioned, my journey really began back in 2020. Just to give a little bit of background, I'm mentioning this also because I feel there is, well, in 2020 we saw a big wave of awakening happening. That seemed a lot of people started to wake up in 2020, and that's whenever I started having these contact experiences, documenting first UFOs as a space photographer, and then telepathy uh, began happening, and I got to meet these different beings. And then 6 months down the road of communicating with these beings and documenting these UFOs, I found out that I was what's known as a starseed. So we have a lot of starseed envoys or volunteers, as well as light workers too, who are here helping to anchor in these higher frequencies and often come with these different gifts. You know, we feel deeply. We are often more intuitive. We're often the black sheep. We often think differently. So more and more star seeds and light workers are just starting to awaken and kind of be activated. So I feel we have another wave of that coming. Some of the recent messages that I've been getting is to help seed this into the collective because it can be quite jarring because everything that we've been taught is kind of a lie. We've had this very limited um, understanding of our reality, and it can be quite jarring. Learning that no, we're not separate, we're all one. The universe is intelligent. It reacts and is starting to manifest and react to our thoughts, to our manifestations very, very quickly. And like Joan of Angels was saying, and that's, I've been picking up on that a lot also, is kind of this instant karma and instant manifestation and this acceleration that's happening as our consciousness is rising. So we're seeing more of that. And I believe more people are going to start having these sort of spiritual experiences, contact experiences, perhaps with their star family or their higher self, seeing repeating numbers, even that, and starting to learn how to kind of communicate and expand their consciousness. So that's happening in stages. Touching on 3i Atlas, 3i Atlas, I feel, was a very big catalyst. And that, I believe, was something that had been prophesized. I feel a deep connection with the Hopi people and the Hopi prophecies. And there were Hopi prophecies that a sign in the sky would come and would mark the time of remembrance and help activate. And I believe that's part of what 3i Atlas was. I believe it was also part of a disclosure initiative to begin helping to seed that into the collective. People are starting to question things more. People are starting to look up more. It's becoming more of a common talk in the mainstream. I believe it was also collecting data and information that it was an extraterrestrial ship. It was intelligent, but also a living, breathing being. Some of the other information that I was getting on it was that it was coming into our solar system as sort of a tuning fork. It was bringing in these frequencies and interacting with our sun, which scientists know that it was interacting with our sun, which in turn was sending these solar flares. We've had a lot of solar activity, which the sun is light. It is source, it's plasma, it's encoded with all of this information that's helping to activate our DNA and helping to upgrade our energy centers, our chakras, our DNA, expand our consciousness, raise the frequency. That's what the solar energies are doing. So I believe that was a mass upgrade for humanity, as well as starting to kind of seed that disclosure initiative into the collective and acting as a sort of a tuning fork, entering into the solar system and interacting with other planetary bodies as well as Earth. And it's been impacting the Schumann resonance, the Earth's heartbeat as well. So 3i Atlas was, I feel like, a big push. And I'm excited to see what else comes from 2026. A lot more people are starting to have these sort of internal experiences. And I feel it also brought up, with the increase in frequencies, it started bringing up some of this kind of collective and individual shadow work as well. Just as kind of the baggage or more dense frequencies that can't come into the 5D with us, we're kind of starting to, that was starting to be brought up to the surface for everybody to work through, to heal and transcend that. So it was a really potent window. Is there anything you want me to go into, but touching on that, or any other questions that you have?
Yeah, well, you can keep riffing on that, but as you're speaking, I'm thinking, evolution of consciousness, right? So it's an expansion of awareness, spiritual growth, working through the shadows, stepping into light, all those different things. But isn't also like these different things that are now making us think about space? Like how many people did not think about space that often until they were inundated with 3 Atlas videos? Is that, and like, isn't it now just shifting our consciousness to be more expansive to not even just spiritual tools, but the fact that people are even just contemplating about an asteroid and nobody, maybe their whole life, they never even thought about it. That's kind of a component of it too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's helping to seed it into the collective. Like I was saying, this could be quite jarring for people if it were to all happen at once. I think a lot of people want uh, everybody to just one day be awake completely and understand everything, and we're in the 5D, but it's a bit of a process, or they want aliens to land and step out of their spaceship, but that would be very jarring. So it's happening in these stages where yes, there is a shift in consciousness and in expansion in our perception that has to happen. So 3i Atlas was a really big catalyst for that. And then we have a lot of other disclosures starting to trickle in from that. You had the Age of Disclosure film documentary that recently came out. And I feel like that was a really great building block or stepping stone, especially for the general public. They got a lot of people talking about it, starting to seed it into the collective. And we're going to see more. It's kind of happening in like a domino effect. We're starting to see more of that. A lot of this is like event driven. And there's certain markers, I feel, in certain trainings that we are going through as a collective on a mass scale.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before like, so during COVID, you started having these contact experiences. You started using I guess a telescope or something to take pictures of space. And what was your life like before that? Were you like spiritual into this awareness? Was there a milestone moment that just all of a sudden you started having contact and you just became curious about it? But before that, that wasn't, even spirituality wasn't a part of your life.
Yeah. So before that, I was a nutritionist. I was very passionate about nutrition, holistic health, and mental health. I was, at the time when the UFOs started showing up, I was actually studying the science of consciousness. So that was already helping to expand my mind. I wasn't a super spiritual person, but I did have a spiritual experience uh, because my father passed. He died very abruptly from a heart attack in his sleep. And he was very, very healthy at the time, and the best health he had been in years. So it was very shocking. He died at only 45 years old. And that, it was my catalyst to where I was like, okay, I didn't want to believe that he was just gone forever. I was like, there has to be something more. So then I started diving into, like, I read the book Conversations with God. I didn't have a relationship with God. I did not like that word. I did not like religion. So that was always something that I pushed away. But after my dad passed, I started looking for more spiritual um, answers. And so I did have some spiritual experiences. I wasn't super spiritual, but that started to open my mind, and that happened a few years before my UFO contact. So that was also kind of an order of operations that took place that began guiding me on my awakening journey.
So this is the part of the show where we get deeper. Because all right, let's just do some rapid fire questions, but you take your time to answer. What is the shadow and what is darkness in your opinion?
Darkness is the absence of light. I think it is often wounded aspects of ourselves. Also, wounded aspects, even of like other entities who have just become separated from source or separated, they forgot, they've forgotten. So personally, I think a lot of that is just forgetfulness, amnesia, but also these wounded parts of ourselves or parts that we resist, parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at. So the awakening journey can be very tough because we have to look in the mirror because it's all us. All of it is us. It's all one. We're all one. But there's these kind of aspects of ourselves that have been kind of separated or forgotten or shunned. And really what it comes down to, these parts of ourselves and even these parts of the collective, they just need to remember the light. They need to feel that love. They need to remember who they really are. So there's a lot of very deep internal work that and distorted programming, inverted programming that goes along with that we have to look at and resolve, and kind of reintegrate that and transcend that.
Right.
Yeah.
How far do you think we're fragmented from source? Because say that the black hole is the entrance to source, right? The seat of God. A lot of civilizations have talked about the central sun being the black hole, and that's where, we go into the void. Could that just be one fragmentation of a bigger fragment? So have you ever considered or had any downloads on how fractalized we are? And do we need to return to source? Or is the dark experiences we have as valid as the light?
What was the last thing you just said? That very last part?
Are the dark, fragmented, lost experiences we have as valid as the light experiences? Or is there a need to return to source? Or is the dark experiences as valid as the light?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
work
think
on that.
I think the dark can be as valid as the light, although I think it's gotten a little bit out of control down here in some aspects. Um, but but we separated from source. Source separated from itself in order to experience itself. So I feel like this is a very deep kind of training ground for us, and we're becoming like masters because we've gone to a pretty dense space. Um, so we're becoming master light warriors, I feel like, and we're learning a lot through this experience. So I think ultimately, it's part of a greater divine plan, and Source had to separate it from itself to be able to experience. And that's how the polarities you have to. It's all part of the whole, but then it separated itself, and then you've got the duality, kind of the inverted part of that. And how far did we fragment from source? That's a great question. Well, I know we have like our soul group, we have our monad, and I can kind of see it as like the monad is like the our full soul, which that's still separated, but then that goes down into all of these other incarnations. Uh, I don't know how many there are exactly. I think I've heard before that there's about 44 or 144 splits that the monad, like our oversoul, kind of separates itself into, but I'm not 100% sure on how fragmented that is. But again, we have access to our wholeness right now. I feel like it's something that we can tune into through the portal of our heart.
Right. So if we go up higher in dimension, right? Like fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, are there less beings in those dimensions? Because technically we're getting closer and closer to source, and then source is just one energy. Are there less beings? So, and if that's the case, would it be like maybe 2,000 people on Earth are all the same being in like three dimensions higher from now?
I think there's still individuality but it's more of a collective. And you hear about that from a lot of channels because who channel these higher dimensional beings. They often consider themselves a collective because they're in tune with each other.
Hmm.
They are aware that they are connected with each other, but they still maintain their individuality. So it's a really interesting concept. I'm sure the further you go up, there could be less, and then maybe there's less of that uh, individual individuality. But I feel like that's probably pretty high up.
How do what are like tool, because there's two types of like darkness going back to that. There's like the actual manifested reality of people that are doing dark things, whether it's like shadowy parts of government, whether it's people that are corrupt in the music industry and so on and so forth. And then there's parts of ourselves that are dark, parts of ourselves that have not had the light shed upon it that we maybe even don't like or appreciate in ourselves. We might hate parts of ourselves, or that there's parts of ourselves that are so wounded. So, what do we do in order to bring light to parts of ourselves that are dwelling in darkness and aspects of ourselves that forgot that we are a part of Source?
Awareness is a big key for that. Just becoming aware of it. If there is something that has kind of split you from, let's say, childhood, maybe you become aware, and these kind of instill these programs. Like maybe um, you feel abandonment or a fear of abandonment, and that stems from a childhood wound, but it's impacting your everyday life and your relationships. And you're like, why are my relationships not working? Or why uh why are things not going my way? And it could come down to this kind of fragmented part, often through childhood. Sometimes it's past lifetimes as well. So becoming aware of that, where does that pattern come from? What's the root cause of that? And then there's this really powerful exercise that you can do that I've done before, and you'll probably cry if you really sit with yourself and tune into this, but just really deeply reflecting on that and calling your inner child forward. Yeah, I feel emotions just like kind of like going through it in my head right now. But calling your inner child forward and just showing them I see you.
Hmm.
I love you. And just sending them love.
Yeah.
And you can do that even with like where there is a bit of a spiritual battle going on because there is darkness and light, especially those who are intuitive or psychic or who can see these certain things. Um, and I think the best way to overcome that is by invoking light, Christ consciousness, and love, frequency of love that kind of dissipates the shadow.
And then, so then how do you love yourself when you've lived a life where you just thought you were never good enough? And how can we disrupt the because some people, like example, for me, just speaking from my own story, I went like 20 plus years of like self-loathing, and it was such a huge ordeal just even to bring awareness. And so what is the what can we do to disrupt that energy if you're in a place where you can't even love others because you just don't like yourself?
Yeah, and that's very, very key. And that's something that I had really had to work with. because there was a time where I couldn't even think of 3 positive things about myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't even say 3 positive things. I remember that was an assignment that I got, and it was hard for me to even repeat it or think of that. Um, and so it takes practice, and my galactic family actually trained me through this. They had me speak positive affirmations. And if there's something that triggers you, that's hard for you to say, that's a good indication that there's a wound or there's a resistance there.
Mm.
So what they had me do, well, first they showed me love. They showed me so much love. They showed me such a profound love that it helped me to learn how to love myself. And with that, a lot of people, they seek outside of themselves for love or validation because they don't feel it internally. You don't need all of that outside. It has to come from within you. And that was a really big lesson that I've had to learn. But what my star family had me do is kind of repeat these affirmations. And if something triggered me or upset me, that's how I knew that's something I need to, that's uh, something that I need to rewrite in myself. And so I repeated these affirmations out loud until I was no longer triggered by them. And another good exercise that you can do is look at yourself in the mirror and say these positive things. Just try it. Like sometimes if you have an issue with that, which many of us do, it'll be hard for you to look at yourself in the face and say those things. But then it gets easier. So it
Yeah.
takes practice.
Right, does. And I have one more question, Scott, before you jump on here. I just want to ask, so now let's go into this, manifest this into the external reality, right? Something that I've been really passionate about is the reform of the criminal system. And in this world of duality, I feel like you can become a victim or a master of your deepest traumas. And on Earth, we keep having all these traumas over and over again, and it can be the catalyst for growth, or you can just go down and be the perpetuator of the trauma that was put on you. You either be the heal from it or you perpetuate it. And our criminal system, the industrial system, has been created in a way where we kind of just perpetuate more trauma, and we punish things and give them consequences without rehabilitation. So, do you have any insight or suggestions on how we could actually reform this system so that when these people do commit things that we considered criminal, or unjust, how we can rehabilitate them as a society and a community into understanding and who they really are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that takes a very holistic approach because there are so many things that are just slightly off. It's like in Star Wars, they say like, or the series Andor, one of the main characters explains that the Empire has been squeezing them just so slightly to where they don't even notice. They've been kind of controlling
That's
everything
what's
and
happening.
it is because we don't realize how messed up it is, really, because it's kind of been happening slowly and slowly, and the grip's been getting tighter and tighter. Uh, I mean, the whole system needs a reboot. All of these, the education system, the prison, a lot of it is, and then you've got poverty, you've got the finances, a lot of these crime, and then the drugs. That a lot of these crimes come from poverty, people who might be stealing or whatever. They're in survival mode, right? So they think that they have to do this in order to survive, or they join gangs or do whatever. And then the drugs that are being, flooded into the country. And then that goes into mental health, mental wellness, addiction therapy. But the prison system is very, very, especially very corrupt because it's designed to keep you down. And it traumatizes people. I've seen this who
Yeah.
come out and they're just so deeply traumatized. Some people turn to spirituality and end up, finding their way
Mhm.
through that. But there's many different sections that need reform. We need we need abundance. We need people to get out of survival mode. We need proper nutrition because that also impacts your mental health, your physical health. all of that, your gut bacteria, your gut is your second brain. So pumping all of these chemicals, preservatives, lack of nutrients, even like a lack of vitamin D, magnesium, all of that causes anxiety, depression, all of those things, which can lead to other addiction, crime. So really, it's a very holistic thing. So I think that's going to take some time. Um, but yeah, it's
I,
holistic.
I love that answer because I've asked it before and I've got like how to deal with the emotional trauma, but you're so right. Everything on every level, including the way we eat our food, all these different things lead us to certain levels of emotional places that could actually end up making us do things that we wouldn't do otherwise, right? So many
Right.
more facets involved. So Lily, thank you so much. Scott, did you want to jump on or should we
Well,
get Lily to share more about herself?
yeah, well, I want to let people know, I'm wanting to honor each person. And everything you've shared, Lily, has been fantastic.
Thank you.
I'd love to have you back on the show again. And I'd like for us to move forward. But I want to let people know where you can find more about Lily. And it's her website, lilynovacontact.com. That's where you can get her best-selling book. And Lily, what would you like for people to know? Are you primarily focusing on retreats, workshops, or private sessions, or all of the above?
So I do have a couple of retreats that I will be opening up soon. I need to I'll probably be making the website for that in the next week. If anybody's super interested, feel free to email me. I've got one up that I'll be planning for Sedona in May, and then I have one coming up in Mount Shasta in July. So I'll be opening those up soon. If you go to events, I also have some conferences coming up, like New Living Expo, uh, Journey to Truth Hawaii retreat slash conference, also in April, Rise of the Guardians in Sedona, and then a Mount Shasta conference. So those are some of my upcoming events. Besides that, I've got some workshops that in sessions, I do a lot of guided meditations and activations. So I have workshops and sessions available on my website that can help you with deep chakra healing, karma clearing, teaching you how to do cord cutting, DNA activation, how to connect with your star family. Yeah, if you go to workshops and sessions, and how to connect with your star family. I also have a psychic development workshop. So those are recorded, and they all have a meditation at the end to help you achieve those things. First, a little presentation to teach you about them, and so they're recorded. So if you get those, you have access immediately.
Beautiful. So again, it's lilynovacontact.com, and there's all sorts of different things that she's doing. And Lily, this is my first time meeting you, but I really appreciate the breadth of your wisdom and your sharing, and you're a very eloquent speaker. So
Thank
love to have
you.
you come back and share more sometime.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you very, very much. And I happen to be the one to come in and say, hey, we got to keep moving forward. But someone's got to do it. Neil, I am really looking forward to learning more about King Cash. So I'm going to bring him on and let you introduce our audience to him.
Right. I'm so excited, guys, to bring on King Cash. I think I've been following, I don't even know how long you've been doing this work, whether, but I feel like I've been following you forever. But for at least a couple of years. And his TikTok videos, Instagram videos that were done in such an amazing way. And you know it's great when you're getting a lot of people watching a long form TikTok video. So and he was doing videos on astral traveling to other worlds, communicating, interacting with ETs. I especially like the ones that you did about with your sister, talking about your sister and how you guys would meet, I believe, in the astral realm. And let's say out of many people, I think King Cash has probably interacted with the most amounts of civilizations that are off planet than any other person that I've ever interacted with or had on Portal to Ascension. So I'm just going to read a little bit from his bio here. And King Cash was on a cruise last year. He's been on our YouTube channel, it's being released in a couple of days, and he's going to be at the New Living Expo. So Cash has many abilities and does not like to be labeled. He is clairvoyant and clairsentient and is able to access information about a person's starseed heritage. He connects directly with spirit guides, angels, extraterrestrials, ancestors, and deceased family members. Upgrades to his spiritual connection happens through spiritual seizures, which are akin to NDEs since the age of 13. These NDEs consistently upgraded his consciousness, giving him extrasensory abilities and a deep connection to the spirit realm. He traverses the astral realm where he interacts with his star family and a variety of beings while mapping out, quite literally mapping out the cosmos and informing people about these different beings. Now, Cash works with the Galactic Federation of Light, and he is a bridge between the physical and spirit realm for the people of Earth as the world makes a huge conscious shift. Brother, it's good to see you.
It's good to be back here, guys. It's amazing to see all of you here today.
Thank you for being here. So we'll just let you start off. Do you want to do a kind of a back and forth interview kind of style, or do you want to just start out and share from your heart what's alive for you right now?
Sure, yeah, I could talk a little bit, and then if you guys have any questions, I'm so down to talk about those as well.
Okay,
So I'll start by
let's
saying
do it.
that my awakening was around, I always knew I was an empath when I was younger, and I am 24 now. And so I graduated in 2019, and I always knew that I was going to be on the screen of some sort, and I knew I was going to be helping people. I just didn't know how. And at the time in high school, I was really sensitive to energy. So I could just feel how people felt. And in my head, I was just like, if they feel good, I feel good. So I always took on the path of taking care of everybody around me. And so in school or in family settings, people knew me as that. And I just felt good doing that. But on 2017, on New Year's Day, is when I had my first seizure. And they weren't regular seizures though. They were ones where I'd be conscious, like I could feel what's happening, see what's happening, hear what's happening. And I could feel them weeks before, I could feel them days and hours before. And I remember the first time was really scary because we didn't know what was happening, but I would have them every month like clockwork. And so at one point, we would go to the hospital, we would go to medical professionals, and they could never understand what it was. And they would hook me up to all these machines, and they're like, we don't know what these are because they should be destroying your brain, but they're not. And every time I would have them, people around me would report that that I'd be more mature, or I could like sometimes I would just say things and they'd be like, how do you know that? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know how I know that, but to me, I just know that I know. And so it got to the point where after when I graduated and then COVID hit, and then that's after when I met Lily Nova, shout out to her. And I remember I was like, I'm just gonna study this. I want to study how this all works. And all these beings, like I even remember before I graduated, I went to a high school party and we live in like a small little hick town. And so we had like a busher party. And I just remember these beings, like these angels were like right in front of me, and they're like, you're gonna help somebody today. You're gonna help somebody. And at that, I'm just like, okay, like I don't know what's going on, but okay, we'll see. Then of course I go to the party and I just feel like this trail of energy and led me somewhere. And it led me to someone who needed help. And the beings would stand behind them and just tell me everything. And the person would be like kind of like freaked out. They're like, how do you know all of that? Like you got a camera up in my room. And then I'm just like, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help you. And it got to the point, long story short, where I was helping children and I was helping people of all ages. That's when I started having more experiences in the astral realm because now my best friends were becoming the ETs. I remember the one of the first times they were like, you know what, we're gonna send you on a mission. And they would send me on missions in the astral, but they were like, we're gonna send you to one in the physical. And I would just, of course, I'm like still kind of trying to understand how this all works. I'm just like, okay, we'll see about that. Of course, they'd be like, you're going to help this little girl. She sees spirits and da 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 da. I go there. And of course, the little girl's there and she sees spirits. And of course, we have these conversations. And that led to me doing way more with the ETs because I realized, okay, this is real. And then they started becoming my best friends. They even started appearing physically. I'd have some physical interactions with positive and negative ETs. That's when I knew to take this very seriously because before it was just kind of like a game. And so that's when I started working with more people like the people that are here. And I decided that I wanted to commit my life to this. And even though there's now this great awakening and there's a this wave of people coming in and wave of awakening happening, I'm noticing that the beings are also preparing. The beings are preparing, and they would ask me to come places, and I'd be awakening in these past life memories like every day. I'd be studying these places. And you guys mentioned the map. I literally got the map right beside me right here. And I started literally making a map of the places in the galaxy because now I actually want to make a book because there's all these hundreds of places and hundreds of beings. And the way I worked with them and working with other people that are working with them, it's so magical. So I kind of had this little forced awakening, and I'm glad now I could be of service to the collective in any way I can.
What are some of the beings that you have visited that maybe aren't some of the common beings that we speak about here on Earth that have a connection to us?
Hmm. The Na'vi from Avatar, that's a real documentary, man. I actually wanted to
Are you
figure out
posting?
if it was real first. I was like, you know what? I want to see if this place is real. So I went in the astral and I came back like, whoa, like it's even better than the movie. And what's interesting was I go there and they're like, welcome home. And I'm like, home? What you mean by that? And they're like, your family. You've been incarnating here many times. And that's when I would just get after these upgrades, I'd get an upgrade a month later. I call my seizures upgrades. And then I'd get these past life memories. And I'm like, oh my God, I was a Navi. Navi, I love them. They're like, me and them are like this. There's many other beings, like there's many other types of Lyrans, like these dark skin Lyrans. There's blue, purple, white skin Lyrans. The elves are really cool. I love the elves so much. Um, I call these other beings gelatinopods. They're like jellyfish beings, and they're incredibly smart, and they are like they're almost like databases of the universe. It's really fascinating. So those jellyfish beings you see in Avatar, it's a real thing as well. And so there's so many types, even like plant people. One of my best friends is like a plant, like a tree guy, and I like it kind of makes me emotional because he's amazing and he actually lives on Earth. And so he actually, little secret for y'all, the ice wall, even though the planet is a sphere,
Yeah.
there is continents on the planet in which are blocked off by an ice wall, blocking off the Earth experiment from the other part of the planet that's not part of the Earth experiment. And so to see that, to even see humans, like humans in Antarctica, like they be holding up their guns like this. They're like scared on what's beyond they know what's there, but they're scared that one day they're gonna come across. And they're about to, you already know. So there's an infinite amount that I can't wait to make an encyclopedia about this. But I'm just in awe by the expansiveness of just the galaxy. Like even when I talk about it on social media, people will just be like, "Oh yeah," or like, "Oh, that's a cool concept." But when they see how real it is, when they see that these other beings, I don't even want to call them aliens because they're not aliens. They're just like us, but they're out in the stars and they're watching this like it's the Kardashians. They're like, what are they going to do? How are the humans going to react? How are they going to do this? And so they're always like this whole experiment really is a giant experiment. They place their DNA here. They're like, you know what? I remember when we did that back in the day. I remember when we judged each other based on color when we were first awakening. All these things is amazing to see, and they think it's hilarious, but they're also kind of like they look at us and they're like, respect to you guys. Like you guys are us that decide to go on the ground and go on the planet to go through this. Like Earth is extra extra hard mode, and
It is.
so they really give so much respect to us, and I I guess I give respect to myself for doing that, but they also they don't reveal a lot as well. They'll tell me a lot, especially when it's related to helping people, but then they'll keep a lot of stuff a secret, especially about who I really am. And they like when we discover ourselves. Like I'll be like, what is this? And they just look at me like, you gonna see, you'll see. And so I love this relationship with them and how funny they are. They are hilarious. I can't wait for everybody to meet them physically.
Okay, so I had another question, but you just ended with meet them physically, so let's talk about that.
Mhm.
Meet are we going to meet a wide range of beings, like hundreds of different types of beings physically, or are you speaking about specific ones that will be interacting with us?
I actually asked them about this a lot. And they were talking about how they would start with the human-looking ones. Because especially imagine like a bug just appearing like a big grasshopper and everybody's like that would freak humans out, their human consciousness. So they're gonna start with some humans, Pleiadians, Lyrans, and they're all on the different color spectrum. So even colors we don't have here, they got.
Mm,
And so we're gonna see a bunch of humans and humanoids come. Then we're gonna get an integration period where I like to call this a tour, where they go on a tour around the planet of just different ETs in a group. And so we have the starseeds introducing the ETs to
wow.
different people around the planet. And so it's a little like a tour kind of concert thing. It's really fun. And so there's going to be an introduction, a integration period. They like to compare it to human history because when we see human history, everything that's on the planet, slavery, Holocaust, awakenings in like finance, everything that we have here is they've been through. So Earth is a smaller version of everything that happened in the galaxy, which is why people
Mm,
call it the library, the giant experiment. And
yeah.
so we've seen like I mean the Lyrans are the biggest example of like they've been through the slavery, they've been through the Holocaust, they've been through these things and fighting for home. Then we see the other beings and dragons and stuff like that. Like we're gonna have a whole integration period, of course, starting with humans and then going into. I mean, we're already having the multidimensional aspect of it. You know, them coming as in astral form, or them coming hidden and looking human, but they ain't. So they're already, of course, they're already here. And we are them in the physical as star seeds. So to see that integration more bluntly is going to be amazing. And I'm actually very curious to see how humans are going to react as well as they are.
Yeah. Do you know, Bashar's Daryl Anka, when he's channeling Bashar, he said that as Asani, they call us the masters of limitation. And they don't mean that in a negative way. They mean that in a positive way, that we mastered limitation. We came down here to master it. And I love what you shared about the fact that um, we are the microcosm of the macro, basically, of what happened throughout the universe. So could you share what did happen throughout the universe? And something I often say is that the final frontier isn't out there. The final frontier is Earth, and it's like the battle for consciousness. And so what happened out there in the universe that now needed the donation of DNA to be come to Earth in order for us to work out what had occurred in our galactic history?
The plan was always for Earth to be the capital of the Milky Way. When something is the capital, everybody from everywhere is there, which is what we have right now. And so every animal, every bug, every plant is actually extraterrestrial in origin or mixed with extraterrestrial origin. So everybody around the galaxy is playing a role in this experiment. I actually want to bring up the video game World of Warcraft. That's, I mean, people that made that really just channeling like some of the things that I research about in the astral realm and learn about from the ETs. They'll be like, "Oh, go watch World of Warcraft and you'll understand." And I go and I'm like, "Whoa, like these people are spot on with the truth." And so Azeroth was actually, which is the planet in the World of Warcraft video game, was actually the was like Earth in the past. So Azeroth, the galaxy, was a mix of before the Milky Way and Andromeda split, they were one, and it was called Azeroth. And that the actual capital or the Earth-like planet for that was Azeroth. So everybody from everywhere is on that planet. Now, when they split, we see there's an Earth-like planet in Andromeda, and there's an Earth-like planet here, which is Earth. And so what I mean by Earth-like is the capital, everyone from everywhere and history ever repeating itself here. And so, in order for a capital to truly be the capital to represent everyone, it has to go through the historical process. It also has to go through the evolution process. So, beings were coming and they were like, oh, like, I actually remember when Earth, before it was like this, before even the dinosaurs, the reptilians were doing their thing here. It was like, it was just blank. And it was like, you could do anything here. And I remember coming here during the Lyran Wars when we needed a place to recuperate and when we were battling the reptoids. And Gaia was like, you could stay here, but leave some of your DNA here and please agree to come back when I'm going to need you later. And so, of course, now we're here. So all these beings leaving their DNA here for it to naturally evolve as well. I guess as naturally as you could say it is natural. And people beings being like, you know what, I'm gonna seed these plants here. Like I like how even plants that we would consider like drugs, like marijuana is actually it's on Pandora too. I didn't know the Na'vi use weed, which is cool. But that's a galactic plant. We see dolphins, lions. Everything is literally there's a being out there that's an advanced version of that. So they actually, in translation, they call animals and even humans, quote unquote, smaller versions of themselves. So it's like their ancestors. Like they're witnessing where they were before where they are at now. And so Earth is meant to really be that microcosm, that kind of mix of everything. Orion, I remember the Orion Wars was like the America of the galaxy. But everybody knew that there was going to be one planet, which would be the everything planet. And that is Earth right here. And it is the final battle. So we seem to, I like to actually categorize the galactic history, Lyran Wars, Orion Wars, and then Earth Wars.
Earth, yeah.
And so about 90% of the galaxy is positive in intention now. But in order to fully have the war end, you want to say, they call it the forever war, this war against light and dark. That is ending here on Earth. And so once these heavier energies are eradicated, then Earth is going to be like everybody. There's so many beings that are like, we can't wait to come home too. Like they see Earth as home, and Earth is actually, it's very surprised to say this, but Earth is actually almost an exact, looks super similar to our Lyran home planets that were destroyed. And so I actually like to say that I get to save Lyra again. And that makes me so happy.
Wow, that's beautiful. And the book, The Prism of Lyra, speaks about how when the Lyrans came here, how they were trying to create a manifestation of the Lyran system, and but then we fell from grace, and that's the whole Garden of Eden story. They were trying to create Garden of Eden, and then we chose free will instead of being dictated by our own oversouls. From what I'm hearing from you is like, with what we're going through on Earth is we need to earn the role of being the capital. And by doing that, we need to work out all these things that are within our DNA that connects to all of the karma, what I say, karma, drama, and trauma of the galaxy, right? And there's the show Battlestar Galactica, right? In that show, Battlestar Galactica, you think it's in the future the whole time, but they're actually in a star system hundreds of thousands of years in our past, and they're escaping that star system to find a promised planet that they were told by their prophecy, escaping AI. And then in the end, you think the whole thing's happening in the future, but it's happening in the past, and the planet that they find and they inhabit and they seed is Earth. And I feel like that's
Wow.
what happened. We all came from all these places to Earth to work this out.
Yeah, literally. And so for you guys, for humans to be a part of this, they're not even fully aware of what's going on. But when they see, they're gonna be like, whoa, like this was a giant experiment all along, and we are highly respected for undergoing this process. Humans are
Right.
very young, but they are the ones to hold this duty of it's like going through the repetition of what happened in the galaxy. All of this was actually divinely ordered, which is cool. It reminds me of even the Bible. Like the Bible speaks about these things about letting quote unquote the devil have time on the planet, and that will end at a certain time, which is ending right now. And
Yeah.
so you could say that devil that's just a frequency. It is just a separation away from source or imbalanced darkness, I like to say. And
Right.
so to now to have Earth go through that process and to have humans go through it, they are undergoing that galactic process that many other beings went through in a short period of time. And they get to do that because of the DNA that's in them. It's literally built in humans to be this. We're super resilient. We're super like just potent, and we hold the everything of everything. So when people realize that we are all the beings out there, then be like, wow, like these are my siblings. One grasshopper being once told me that humans' minds are expanding to where they could even fathom this at the moment. To even talk about it is humongous. It sounds surreal. And that, I mean, that was put on purpose on the planet for it to be like that. The powers that be want it to be like that, but the powers that be don't know that the divine and the other higher beings are watching over everything. They're like, okay, it's going as planned. Okay, we don't know how they're gonna do this, but okay, we're gonna happen that. Like they don't even know how disclosure will come about,
Right.
but they know what they're gonna do with certain situations. Like they'll never allow this planet to be destroyed.
No.
Never, but they will allow for everything to go as it needs to go because as with humans taking up arms, like we're at the point now where there's a there's a confrontation with energies that are trying to hold everybody back. They've been holding down the planet for a long time. And
Mhm.
so it was preordained for humans to be able to say, you know what, enough is enough. They're waiting for Jesus to come back. I mean, Jesus in the Pleiades, he's over there saying, I already did what I need to do on the planet. Now we need to wait for humans to do what they gotta do. I just came to remind them. And so that is what's happening right now. Is humans are causing this awakening. As of course the beings are here to help, as the other being, the negative beings are trying to stop it, but the positive beings are helping and awakening. It's all to have humans do the process on their own, which I think is the most amazing concept ever as well. To allow these humans to do what they got to do and it being studying to see what's going to actually happen. This is the best experiment in the universe, I would say.
Oh yeah, man. I think it's very beautiful that with the cards stacked against us, with the systems implemented, with the powers that be, all these different things that have been happening to keep us asleep, we're still waking up. And that just goes to show how our connection to consciousness and source and the divine blueprint, with our memories wiped clean, we're still waking
Mhm.
up, right? It's beautiful. And we have a question here from Dr. Laura, so I want to ask you this. She's asking, what do the ETs say about the cause of war? What should humanity do in the face of all these wars going on around the world? Do they have any guidance?
Humans always look at this duality thing. It's either this side or that side. But when you look at the entire system here, you're like, we ain't supposed to be choosing no side. Like we're supposed to be removing all of this thing, wipe it clean and move it. But we may be in awareness of that here, but the collective of humanity, it's like children. It's like we have to let the children kind of experience and realize, and then when they go, oh my God, then we'll be like, yeah, there you go. And then we could kind of help them move forward as like elders. Our souls are elders here to help. And so humans need to remove this idea of especially superiority, this fear, a lot of fear related to what they don't know. So they need to control it. They're afraid of being less than something else. They're afraid of being looking like they don't know. And so there's these very egocentric mentalities which all these other beings went through before. And to see it here is really cool. To even live it as part human is really cool. And so we should all honor this emotional process that everyone's going through. I like to see the heavy things going on the planet because that means we need the stuff for awakening. We need these heavy things to happen now because it's causing a revolution in the mind in all levels of reality. And so I think humans need to now look beyond what they know of, like it's this side or that side. Reminds me of Azeroth, the video game, the Alliance or the Horde. And it's like, but both sides done horrible things to each other. And so once you can kind of mediate both sides and understand that we are all one collective at first. Of course, you hear that a lot. We're all one collective. But it's so true, and we're all interconnected. There's been this system put in play to make it seem like we're all disconnected. To make it seem like, oh, you're European, you're Australian, you're Asian, and separation. But that was actually ordained too, because to have all these different types of people and energies and things on one planet, and to have them unify as one planet, same repetition of what happened in the galaxy. It's like we can't judge just because they're a reptilian. Some of my best friends are reptilian, but they're not evil. Like they're some of the coolest people I know. Shout out to them. And so, and some humans can be the most evil people I've ever seen in my life. And so we can't do this comparison anymore, and which has been put for the human mind to do for survival. And that's being removed right now. And so with disclosure as well, that's going to cause a huge unlock in people's mind. But before that, ETs are looking for people to unlock that themselves and to see really in a general way of saying it that we really are one people.
Right. Do we have, I've often heard about, people talk about the Pleiadians, right? And they use a general statement. People talk about the reptilians, they use a general statement for them, Arcturians. But if we have multiple planets in each of these systems, I mean, the Pleiades, we see seven stars, but there's actually more. There's a bunch of planets, and that's just the physical reality. Then there's other dimensions. So what's your take on the limitations that people have when they come up and say one word as if where there could be literally 1,000 Pleiadian species, right? So even within the conscious world, where it seems like we have a limited perspective on the diversity of what's really out there.
I'm actually glad you say that because usually I'll kind of I'll just speak with what people know because they'll be like, all they know is Pleiadian, Arcturian, Lyran. They categorize them, and that's easier for people. So I usually stick to that, but I like how you said that because it's just like that. This goes very expansive. The Pleiadians I've seen some with, of course, the European looking ones. I've seen the blue skin, the very dark black skin. Like they look like Wakandans. I actually like calling them Wakandans because they just like that. They got the same even culture too. That's a documentary as well, I should say, y'all. And so I want to say that we still categorize because that's all we know, even as half humans as starseeds. That's all we know is the categorization. So it's like, okay, I've interacted with beings that said they were from the Pleiades and they were like this. So I'm gonna categorize them like that. And that's easier for humans, but I want to expand it by saying, look at Earth. It's like you meet me. You can't judge all like black people based off of who I am, right? You're gonna meet so many different types, and from different areas with different cultures and different phenotypes. Like they look different, even though you could say they all are black people, right? It's the same thing. And so we see subcategories, like we're all human, and then we have these subcategories of human, which we should just say is like I don't even know what to label that, just different subcategories. And so we have that for all these different types of beings. And so they've all learned you can never judge off of looks because an angel can come incarnated as an alpha draconian or as like a gelatinopod. And that's a cool part of it. It's like we're going to send in a being to awaken these masters. Like there was a Jesus figure in Orion that came as a being that people would not expect to be like a Jesus figure and awaken people to realize, whoa, like we can't judge each other just because they're not malevolent, but just because they're darker. They look darker and they operate in maybe shadow or more spaces does not mean that they're evil and that we should judge them. And vice versa. Just because they're light doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? So you guys get the gist here. We have so many subcategories. And so we will keep it more general so so that we can even talk about it. So we can engage about these beings. But yes, there is so many and the cultures are super vast.
Let me ask you this question. I think this will be the final one, and Scott will come on. I'm getting some private messages here, and it's kind of talking a little political, but we're not going to get into like political on that level. But
Of course.
what I want to share is that obviously we're in this world where there's people that are doing things that we consider good, people that we doing things that we consider bad. There's leaders that are doing certain things, whether you can talk about Israel, Gaza, Russia. US, all this stuff, right? And a lot of times people find it difficult to look at this bigger perspective of what's going on in the universe when we're so caught up in the minutia of the drama on Earth. So what would you say is really going on? And are we able to look at these people that we inherently disagree with as people that we can hold as another part of ourselves? And for those that aren't able to do that, right? I don't know if that's the answer, you tell me, but those who aren't able to do that, how do we move to a place where we can when we have so much chaos and division going on and leaders doing things that other people inherently dislike?
We're gonna have to need when we talk about disclosure, we ain't just talking about disclosure about ETs, we're talking about disclosure of our history. So much history has been hidden on purpose to keep humans locked in, to keep this system going, to keep this farm going that the negative beings want to have. They want it like a farm. And so to have disclosure about the truths of history. Like I even actually, before I talked about ETs and consciousness, I taught in elementary schools about Black history before slavery, which is something people don't know about. They don't know about that. They don't know about the African empires in which people from around the world came to learn from. They don't know about the Africans that sailed before Columbus over to America. They don't know about that, but that's been hidden on purpose to keep us divided. And one way of being divided is by race, is by culture, is by mentalities, all these different levels. So we hear people fighting, oh my God, the problem is this or it's that, it's sexism, it's racism. Those are all parts of the problem which have been used on purpose. So they said, you know what, if we keep this history away, we could have everybody hate these people for this reason, and then we can make money off of it, and then we could do this. These reptilians that whipped up all of this are very smart. We got to give them that, because the way they manipulated humans to enslave themselves so then they can keep the humans enslaved, it's very fascinating. So we hear the selling, like selling the soul and stuff like that, and all that, because these a lot of these people have been working with these negative ETs, but now these negative ETs are losing power because they're being their energy is being eradicated, and the GFL is essentially showing them that they can't have power here anymore. Now some of these celebrities that work with them are looking and they're like, where are y'all? Like, I need y'all right now. And now they're getting their karma. That karma is being whipped out. We'll call it karma for now. And so these divine lessons are being whipped up. Everybody that got to choose their path when they come here, even though they had a purpose, they got to choose it. That's part of the school too. Souls coming here to learn. I mean, we're here to learn too. So I want people to know that we need an entire disclosure of who we are, what this all is. And so I see why the ETs were waiting to just pop out and show folks what it is, because this is gonna cause like people's minds to have to recalibrate on every single thing that you could imagine. And so I have patience with humans, and I actually honor humans, such as the stars that chose to do this, because this is a big moment in the galaxy, if not the universe, to see this. This is a very golden moment for this planet to do this. And the fact that all the beings are involved in it as well in some form, it's the best. It reminds me of the Olympics. It's like all the beings are watching like it's the Olympics. It's just like that.
Yeah, I like the whole concept that this is the greatest light show in the universe. I really feel that that's happening. If you have, let's ask you this one question before we close out, Scott. Are we as I asked this to Lily actually on our interview, what's your understanding of us being our ancestors and our descendants at the same time?
Bruh, it's a little bit of a paradox, because it's like we have our soul history, which has been through these similar things. Then we've been through our physical ancestry, like our ancestors been through these things. And
Yeah.
so we have this multi-layeredness of power that is unaccessed, and that many of us are accessing, that are here right now. Y'all's DNA is activating, and your brain capacity is getting larger. Reminds me of Lucy the movie. That's of course documentary too.
Mhm.
And so I think, what's coming to my mind about everything is that us as this collective, and I feel like I'm maybe straying away from the question because I feel like I forgot the question a little bit, but the collective of everybody in this sort of collective mentality, like everybody's mind's pinging. Everybody's like, okay, like you're awakening. It's all just clicking in everybody's mind at this moment in all these super divine ways.
Yeah.
And I find that awesome. I hope I answered that question. Let me know if I answered it.
Yeah, yeah, you did. Basically, it's a multi-layered game of reality that, I asked if we're our descendants and our ancestors at the same time, but you're basically sharing that there's so much going on here in regards to what we're going to be that chances are it is paradoxical that we kind of become the beings that seed other planets, and we've been seeded by those beings in the first place.
I actually want to add real quick. We also are reliving our past lives. So,
Mm.
some of you that are really advanced may get past life memories, and then you're noticing that you're reliving them in a smaller form here because you're bringing it in, but you're also divinely living it to help you incorporate it which is super,
Right.
super cool. And so I like I said that we are our ancestors because we've done this before. Our DNA remembers this, our soul remembers this, and our higher self is helping us through this process that we are undergoing individually. It is very it's like a paradox, and I find that makes the Earth experiment even more expansive, and
Yeah.
almost even to the point where we can't even, we're like, whoa, this is even bigger than we could even. I'm gonna just leave it to y'all. I'm gonna leave it to y'all, and I like
Yeah.
to say, I'm gonna give that to y'all because my human self may struggle a little bit to understand.
Exactly. Yeah, that's partly of how I know we're not as advanced as we can be is because we cannot fathom a paradox. You know, it's like it blows our mind, you know. So, King, brother, you're so incredible, man. I just really appreciate you coming on and being a part of events that we do. You know, I've reached out to you, one of the first people I reached out to be part of the New Living Expo because your energy is contagious. You're just full of life. And you definitely take people into worlds that they have never even contemplated before. So I just appreciate everything you're doing. And before before we move on here, would you like to share where people can get a hold of you and what you have coming up? I think you do sessions for people as well, right?
I do one-on-ones if you guys want. You guys go to my Instagram. It's just I'm King Cash. And from there, I have all of my everything in the links in my bio. Bro, this is some old videos. That's crazy. That's what I used to wear do-rag. And I I talk a lot about ETs, astral travel, and my one-on-ones. I talk about that with y'all. I mean, anything your guys' spirit team wants to talk about, we do so. And I also do classes for all people that have abilities, and they're of all ages. They're going from young people to older people. And so we have that. I'm looking forward to doing a sort of school type of environment in the future more. I'm really excited to do that. I like calling it GFL, GFCC school. And I am looking forward to doing more events just like this where we're having discussion about it. We're interconnecting. Very excited to be here with y'all. Can't wait to do some more.
Well, beautiful. Well, thank you. There's a lot of wonderful comments that have come in for both you and Lily. So I'm going to bring Lily up again for a moment too. If you guys take a look at the chat box, it's filled with comments of people really appreciating both of you, your wisdom. And so thank you. You're both wonderful new voices for at least our Awakening World audience. And I know that you both are going to be continuing to reach more and more people. So I really want to thank both of you for joining us on a Saturday night and sharing some of your experiences and some of your wisdom with us. And thank you, Neil, for bringing them on board. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And you know, we've talked a lot about the New Living Expo. You've heard it kind of mentioned a few times. Of course, it's been one of our favorite expos. We always are there, and we're really excited that now Neil and his team are going to be running the New Living Expo. Of course, our good friend Kenny Kaufman ran it for I think 30 years. And look at what the theme is. This is the theme of tonight's show, and it's also the theme of this year's expo. So really want to encourage everybody, if at all possible, come to San Rafael, California, and participate in the New Living Expo, where a lot of the people you've seen tonight are going to be. Of course, I'll be there. We'll be doing Awakening World shows from there, and it's going to be taking place. And here's some of the presenters that are going to be there. Most of these people you know. Vivian Chauvet, she was just on the show Wednesday night. And Laura Eisenhower, Debbie Solaris, Lily, who we just met tonight. So a really wonderful group of people coming. Billy Carson's awesome. Stephen Halpern, one of my longtime friends. Marilyn Gawaki, she's been on many times. Geraldine was going to be with us tonight. She's not feeling well. And it goes on and on and on. So definitely join us at the New Living Expo coming up in April. I'm looking for the exact dates here on your
April 17th.
April 17th.
Mhm.
And we will be there for sure. Got a couple of other announcements that I want to make real quickly. And then we'll kind of go to our prayer time. Sadly, Cornflower was going to be with us tonight. And as I mentioned before, but I want to say it again. Unfortunately, he got ill this weekend. So not only was not able to join us tonight, but we're having to postpone or cancel the program we were going to do tomorrow, which is going to be with Cornflower and Swami beyond Ananda. I'll send out an email to those of you who bought tickets, and we'll just kind of do a tune in to see if people want to reschedule or if you'd just like to get refunds, and we'll do whatever you all choose. I do want to also encourage people, this is a great time to join the Global Peace Tribe. We are just now starting our brand new season. Tonight is the first show of the new season. And it's really easy to join. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. And once you're on that website, just click register for the new season, and that takes you to our registration page. And it really is important for you to register and join us. We provide a show every Wednesday night and every Saturday night. Then special shows, like a week from tomorrow, we'll be doing a Sacred Sunday show coming to you live from the Enlightenment Expo in Roanoke Park. We just did a special with Alan Steinfeld about 10 days ago, a Making Contact special. So we really do our best, along, just like Neil, of keeping you in touch with what's happening. And what's kind of nice about our community is it's just that. It's really become a community where people take good care of each other, we support each other, we raise money for each other, we do prayers for each other, as you're about to experience. So come join the tribe. We are the Global Peace Tribe. And for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, welcome. It's great to have you with us. We also send out the recordings for all of our shows, and we also post them on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So as Scotty just put in the chat box, it's like the central hub of awesomeness. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. And as I mentioned, we now do prayer time, and leading the prayer time is Desiree and Diara. I'm going to bring them up. And why don't we start our prayer time by just sending some love to our beloved brother Cornflower, that he may recover as quickly as possible. We love you, Cornflower. We miss you. You've been such a bright light and inspired us for years now, going all the way back to the very beginning of the show, Saturday Night Live. So thank you, and we love you, Cornflower. And I'm going to turn it over to Desiree and Tima.
Thank you, Scott. So I'm just going to begin by taking a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Having cornflower and our love, our thoughts, sending him positive energy. Clearing some of that heaviness that's just around us. As we connect with our ancestors and our ancient ones. And we wake up what's inside of us that needs to wake up at this time. And we allow the frequencies that came through today to be completely embodied in our body, so that we remember what we need to remember. We are all of love, and we can generate that love from within us.
So beautiful, remembering and co-creating and bringing in that information from above. And in this tribe and in this evening, we take everything from the ultragalactic down to the earth, and we blend it all together, doing a fabulous job of increasing our capacity for cognitive dissonance, to tolerate it and use it for the expansion that we've spoken about tonight. Just allowing our human bodies to receive and grow in the most gentle way possible, while we open our hearts even wider and allow what is waiting to come through to come anew and from beyond. And we have so much thanks for everyone here and all those listening. So much love. And may our hearts be held during this time of shifting, during this great time of change, and always pull from the love to balance the grief as we move into this new reality.
Adhikara Vasa.
I want to acknowledge that, of course, people are asking for us to pray for peace in Venezuela and in Gaza, Sudan, all the places where there's terrible atrocities happening. I always like to go to what Yogananda taught us. Simple prayers, maximum grace. Maximum grace for all human beings. Maximum grace for Mother Earth, Gaia. Maximum grace for all the animals, all the plants. Maximum grace for our rising consciousness. Maximum grace. Maximum grace. And thank you, everybody. I see the wild monk of the Mystic Monastery, Gerald Anderson, is adding his beautiful, wonderful energy. I got to bring it, Jerry, up because I love you, Jerry. And I'm going to go to gallery view, actually, for a moment so that we can all kind of participate, we can all do our thing, because all of your prayers matter. So thank you again to all of our presenters, Joan of Angels, King Cash. Wonderful to meet you. Of course, Lily Nova, and sending also love to Geraldine Roscoe, who's going to be on the show tonight, also isn't feeling well. And of course, Neil Gaur, thank you so much for your beautiful work with Portal to Ascension. Remember that tomorrow there's part 2 of the disclosure program. Oh, and there is, speaking of tomorrow, there is one other thing I want to turn people on to. You know, I had the opportunity through this show to meet so many amazing presenters, and I try to participate in as many of the programs as I can. And I have actually committed to a program starting tomorrow. Many of you know, you've seen Dr. Kat Lewis on the show. She's wonderful. And she's starting a program tomorrow for 13 weeks. It's kind of a commitment because it's 13 weeks, 2.5 hours, 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, all about the Fountain of Youth. Well, having just turned 70, I am interested in the Fountain of Youth, I must say, but I want to encourage people to come join me. And if you're interested in knowing more about this program, I'll put the link into the chat box right now where you can learn about it. And Dr. Kat has mentioned that she is offering a few scholarships. So I'm putting into the chat box right now. For those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you just Google Dr. Kat Lewis Spiritual Heart Sign Up, and the page will come up for you. And it's going to be a wonderful program. And so I'd love to see some of our Global Peace Tribers joining me tomorrow. Kat's amazing at combining science and spirituality. And so I'm really excited to learn with her and for us all to grow together. And those are our announcements for tonight. I'm going to now turn it over to our beloved Omashar to conclude the evening with some music. Give everybody a chance to get ready to move and groove and dance. Find Desiree.
Haha. Plan B. worry, don't worry. And I love you more than you could know. So come along now and lay your head on my heart, on my heart. Close your eyes, dear, and rest a while in me. Keep open your heart, let in the sun. Bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. And now I ask you to take a step towards me, toward me. I can feel your longing to be home. So come along now and lay your head on my heart, on my heart. Close your eyes, dear, and rest a while in me. Keep open your heart, let in the sun. Bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. And I love you more than you could know. So keep open your heart, let in the sun. Bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. Here is divine grace. Here is empty space. Chicka chicka.
Thank you so much, Omashar, and thank you everybody for being with us. So beautiful to see our family, as DR calls it.
What an amazing show tonight, brother. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Yes, tonight is just phenomenal. I just feel so lit. Thank you, everybody.
yeah. Thank you, Neil, for bringing all your friends, and looking forward to this monthly exchange of having Neil and Portal to Ascension once a month. We've got Soul Search once a month. It's really quite beautiful. Have a beautiful Sunday tomorrow, everybody. Remember, we can make it a sacred Sunday by choosing to see the divine in all. Let's practice love. Let's practice gratitude. As best as I can tell, those are the highest vibrations that raise our consciousness. How's the rise of consciousness happen? By truly demonstrating compassion, truly demonstrating gratitude for how blessed we are. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you. And I'm going to go to gallery review one last time, and hope to see all of you. Maybe some of you at Dr. Kat's program tomorrow, some of you at Portal to Ascension tomorrow, and everybody hopefully next Wednesday night for the next Awakening World. Good night, everybody.